Yes, this is Rod from ANSC 106, and I'm enlarging this here. And remember, I'm going to try to do a weekly wrap-up or review of each week at the end of each week. Now, I know it's Sunday, so I'll see you tomorrow, which is the 24th, but I do want to get this review made. There's some questions I can answer. Anyway, so this is the review of week two. Week two, because of our Martin Luther King holiday on Monday, we only saw each other in class on Wednesday. And of course, you know, Friday, that was the 21st. That's your day to watch videos. And I know some people said, hey, there weren't any more videos, new videos. Well, there were 8 there. And because some people didn't add the class until the beginning of week 2, I just felt it wasn't maybe quite right to add more videos since we had a quiz on Wednesday and we're going to have a quiz tomorrow, which is Monday, the January 24th. So just trying to take it one step at a time, I guess. The other wrap up, and you've seen this before, but I did want to point out a couple things on the syllabus, maybe at least one. And I'll get my laser pointer going here. And I wanted to talk about this show, tell, and learn, where everybody, each student will make a presentation in class on some aspect of, it says pet ownership, could be pet biology. And I've had some questions on that. What does that entail? Well, you're going to get up in front of the class and try to teach us something new about something you know, or something you looked up and wanted us to all gain from it. And it can be done on a PowerPoint. You could write on the whiteboard. You could bring something to pass around. There's not going to be a set format, so don't think, oh, I've got to make this fancy PowerPoint thing. No, just teach us something. And I did something in class last Wednesday, too. I gave an example where I showed pictures of the different kinds of dog food I make. I make my own dog food, so I showed pictures of turkey in a dog food bowl, and beans and sardines and carrots and broccoli and cauliflower. And so that's what I did. I taught some people, I think, how you can make your own dog food. I know it's handy for the kibble, but I just don't like all the things they put in the kibble. I've got a backstory to that, but that would be about a half hour long. And so the other thing maybe I'll point out is this thing about assessments. It doesn't say we're going to have X number of quizzes, X number of tests, X number of homework. We're just going to do a variety, and we're starting out slower and lower points because we all have to get used to each other. Then later on, maybe things will become more routine. So I wanted to say that on that. And then the other thing I want to make a point on here before I forget is when you do go to my website, which I explained earlier, and clicked on courses, and then you click on the name of the course, this is the page you see. So I want to show you that. So this page, home, is a button. You get back to my main website for everything I have. There's the syllabus. If you ever lose a copy or want to see it, it's there. And I know I did email a copy out, but some people didn't get the email. There was a bug in Purdue's program for listservs. I thought it was my computer for a while. Then I finally got an official email from Purdue that says, hey, our listserv has a bug in it. We're not, it's not updating. So if somebody added a course, they didn't get any emails. Anyway, this is what you see when you go to that page. And now remember, there's going to be required material. So I said here for the weeks of the 10th and the 17th, there's 3 clicks here on blood. Then there's 8 videos to watch. Our first day of class, I did a diagnostic assessment. If you want to see what that looked like, there it is. If you weren't in class, or if you want to see it, because I collected them, they were not graded. There was no names on them. It was just like trying to pick a brain. Then there is a video up here, week 1 wrap-up, that I posted a few days ago after having some problems. Now I'm working on week 2 wrap-up. So as soon as I get this little video made and baked into a MP4 file, I'm going to upload it to YouTube and then link it here. And that's what I'll usually be doing for all the wrap-ups. So there's that. Okay, so now I just got some reminders. And that's what I like these wrap-ups to do. I'll think of something, and this week I'm going to be better. Every time I'm done with the class, I'm going to sit down and write some things that, okay, what can I put on the wrap-up? So these are reminders, suggestions, and one is you can do the online quizzes that aren't required, but they're great practice. And I'll try to show this Monday in class, Monday the 24th. But on my main website, the very first page, there's a click that says online quizzes and crosswords. Try to get in the habit of doing some of those. Then, the show and tell and learn. This reminds me to tell you to sign up with me. We are starting officially the 31st with the show and tell and learn, and 2 people have already signed up. So when they show us how they did, we can make some comments on that. And remember, I already did one with the dog food, so I already gave you an example. Then I want to promote that you find a study buddy, or at least somebody that you can email and say, hey, could you send me the notes from yesterday? I was sick or I was stuck in a snowbank, because then that person can tell you what we did and can provide notes. They can take pictures and send you an email of them and tell you what we did. And that way you won't feel lost if you can't come to class. Then last on this reminder list is please log into Brightspace sometime this week, because Purdue wants to know, are people participating in the class? By the 3rd week of class, there's a thing I have to go through and it's called Initial Class Participation, ICP. And if I haven't seen you, if I don't have a quiz with your name on it, if you haven't logged into Brightspace, I have to tell Purdue, I have not seen this person. And sometimes that puts into jeopardy student loans and stuff. I mean, I don't want to be a bad guy, but they want me to say, did this person interact with the course? So that's not too much to ask for. Okay, so now what I did is I took a little copy of the second reading assignment on blood, and I wanted to go through this. So this is just a screenshot of something on the blood 2. Okay, so let me read through this and maybe make suggestions of items to write down for statements of fact. Remember, statements of fact are it's how your brain stores things. Why not write down statements of facts and give your brain a little help on storing it? So I got my laser pointer going. There it is. Let's go, and we won't spend a lot of time on it. Blood disorders are quite diverse. I wouldn't write that down, but what they're trying to say is there's a whole gamut of what can go wrong with the blood. And this will come obvious. They can occur as normal responses to abnormal situations. What does that mean? Normal response to an abnormal situation. Well, let's say you have an infection. That's abnormal. And maybe the normal response is white blood cells are collecting. And so it says a significant increase in the number of white blood cells in response to an infection or disease. White blood cells are really part of the immune system. We all have heard through this pandemic how, you get vaccinated, you get immunity, you get antibodies, there's herd immunity. I won't go into all that. But that's kind of a normal response to an abnormal situation, right? If you have an infection or a disease, that's not normal, it's abnormal. So how do you say that in statement of fact? White blood cells increase during infections. You could say the number of white blood cells increase. Here's another one I'll add right now that's not on here, but you can write it down. Pus, that's P-U-S, pus is made up of white blood cells. Okay, I'm going on here. They may also occur in as primary abnormalities of the blood. Okay, primary, that means something's happening just without having an infection. Okay, primary, just happening spontaneously in the tissue. For example, deficiency of all cellular elements of the blood due to bone marrow failure. Okay, well, all the blood cells are made in bone marrow. So if the bone marrow has some kind of failure for some reason, right there, it's not like an injury to the leg or whatever, it's just like a failure, well, then you have the deficiency of all the blood elements. We call those the formed elements in class. Furthermore, abnormalities may be quantitative. Okay, so this is saying blood abnormalities may be quantitative. And you might say, how can I understand that? Quantitative, think of it as something about numbers. Quantitative is numbers. So there's too many or too few cells. Too many numbers or too few numbers, right? So that's quantitative, and you should put that someplace. Quantitative means I got to have some numbers here, something about numbers. Then it says qualitative. So make sure you understand the difference between qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative is, think of it as the, sorry for the voice, coughing, qualitative, the quality of how the cells function. Okay, so this is abnormalities in the way cells function. Maybe you have all the right numbers of cells, but for some reason, they're not doing what they should. So the numbers are fine, but the quality of the response or the function of the cell is less. So blood disorders can be qualitative. It is helpful to understand what the names of some blood disorders means. Okay. So I'm going to do that. That's my next thing, to do this suffix table, which I'll show you in class on Monday. Just as there are various blood types in humans, there are multiple blood types, dogs, cats, horses. And there's our main animals, right? That's our companion animals of interest. Now we'll talk about other animals, but dogs, cats, horses are our main focus. You could put that in your notes. So all these animals have different blood types. It gets very complicated, so we're not going into it for a 100 level course, but there are blood banks for animals, especially like dogs. There are veterinary hospitals that have dog blood donors. So if another dog needs some blood, and this, what's the racing dog breed? The greyhounds, right? Am I got that right? The greyhounds, yeah, are often kept as donors. And you can tissue match, and this gets very hairy, but dog hit by car might need some blood, or during surgery there's more blood loss than anticipated. So there are reasons for this. So statements of fact. Dogs have different blood types, right? Horses have different blood types. Trying to make those statements. Okay, so now on that page we just had a screenshot of, refer to this table that is in this reading on blood 2, which I'll show you how to get to this table. It might not be obvious. But let's go through this. Suffixes. Those are items that you put on the end, the back of some root, perhaps. So let's do it. So all these could have a hyphen in front of them. Hyphen, penia. And that means you're kind of designating it that it's a suffix. Philia. That means like, increase in blood levels. That could be like or increase. So you got neutrophilia. That ends up being neutrophils. That's what the neutral was referring to, philia. So maybe more neutrophils in the blood than you want, and so then that's a quantitative disorder, right? Remember, quantitative versus qualitative. Try to hook things together. Oses, abnormal increase in blood levels of some type of cell. That's okay. That's not the best It also can refer to a disease process. That's what I'm looking at. Osis means a condition of. That's in my mind. It might not always be an increase. But you got lymphocytosis. Okay, it's a condition of perhaps too many, in this case, lymphocytes. We haven't talked about the different white blood cells. But cyto, right there, is a root that means cell. So lymphocytes are cells. Penia always means like a deficiency. Rather than say decrease, I would just say a deficiency of. So neutropenia. Look at, they use neutral again from up here. Penia means deficiency. So if a dog or cat or horse has neutropenia, a low level of neutrophils. And that's always bad because the neutrophils are the cells that are most numerous of the white blood cells. They're the cells that make pus, by the way, pus, P-U-S. Neutrophils make pus. There's a statement of fact. Not on this slide, but it's neutrophils, and you could P-H-I-L-S, forget about the I-A in this case. Neutrophils are cells, and they make pus. Pus is made up of neutrophils, however you want to make this statement of fact. Lysis, that means destruction or, destruction, damage of. Hemolysis, that means a destruction of blood, destruction of the red blood cell. Emia means something's in the blood, denotes the presence of a substance in the blood. Well, okay. So polycythemia here is, poly is a prefix meaning many. There's CYT, that's really part of cyto. Emia, EMIA is a present. So polycythemia is where there's a lot of blood cells in the blood. So what's that, qualitative or quantitative? Well, that would be quantitative disorder. Stasis, to stop or stabilize. So hemostasis, that's when you stop the bleeding process. So now I want to make some comments about the quiz we took on Wednesday, the last time I've seen you guys. And it's kind of neat. You were supposed to write down 10 statements of fact about blood. And then at the bottom, you drew a line, and below it, you were supposed to tell me some experiences that you've had with blood. So I'm looking at one here. It says dull red blood is deoxygenated. Normal packed cell volume is 45. This person hasn't really done much with blood except maybe seeing something on documentaries. That's great. I'm just trying to pick your brain, right? Dog's blood weight is 7% of the body weight. Must be getting that from videos and stuff. 1 cc of blood is the same as 1 ml of blood. Okay. Now this person had a little mistake. It says in mammals, red blood cells and plasma are anuclear. Well, red blood cells are anuclear, but plasma is the fluid. So when you say plasma is or are anuclear, that's not the best way to say that. This person has seen blood samples taken from their pets. I'm doing another one here. I'm not going to belabor this. Okay, had a horse that had needed blood samples. Here's my grandma's greyhound was asked to donate blood. Oh, at the vet's office. So there it is, greyhounds. I've done hematocytes of blood samples as well as blood smears. Hematocytes. There might be meaning hematocrits, but that's okay. That's close. Okay, good. Had a little experience. I don't know, have not seen or taken blood samples from an animal. So I'm just looking at here. I've helped take blood samples from dogs, cats, and calves. Being taken from rats, from their tails. So yeah, that gets to the point. Where do you take a blood sample from an animal? Rats are pretty small, so you can get a tail sample. It won't be much, but then here's somebody else that had a dog that was a blood donor. Okay. Here's somebody else had a blood sample taken for their dog. Somebody has taken a blood sample from a dog, usually from the jugular vein or any leg. Okay. Yeah, I should be talking to you guys on the screen. Okay. Somebody studied cow blood when they were in high school. Very inexperienced. Watched, take samples, perform surgeries. Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, we all start with what we have. Vet clinic, and person sees that. Okay. So that's pretty good. So that's good on the quiz. There will be a quiz. Ends up being tomorrow. We already know this. And then here is Jason's email. Jason, our TA. Remember, we met Jason and Claire last week. Jason's the official TA. Claire is kind of a guest TA. And so I think she's going to be too busy to answer emails. But between Jason and I, we can answer your emails. Jugular, okay. Yes. So I'm going to be done there. I'm going to bake this into an MP4 file and get it uploaded.